Hello, a special good morning to you. My name is Jessie Leonce, and this is another edition of the COVID-19 Response Report Week in Review. We do hope you had a good week despite the circumstances. We're looking at the week that was the 18th of May to the 22nd this week. I'm joined in studio by my colleagues, Mr. Carlton Cyril, Tony Nicholas, and the lovely Lisa Joseph. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning. Bonjour. Comme la routine, moi toujours content pour nous ici à sous en samedi au cas observer depuis samedi venu nous amener toutes ces moun qui supposé ici et puis nous la semaine mais yo ka vini et puis nous quoi merci en chéri pour votre ici et puis nous.
Thank you, Carlton. Quite a few developments happening this week. We had more testing, fortunately no new cases. Protocols were finalized to facilitate the national examinations in St. Lucia and a phased reopening of schools, that is grades 6 and Form 5. The tourism sector is set to reopen on June 4th. We got word from the government of St. Lucia on that. Zoning ceased as of this week, and the curfew was reduced to now 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. Businesses were allowed to open this week. Of course, you must be in adherence to the sector-specific protocols. And of course, we have the water-related emergency that has been announced. And we spoke to Carlton. We spoke to the director of the Water Resource Management Agency. So we have that coming up in just a moment, as well as, you know, the passing of Miss Joyce Auguste, a cultural icon here in St. Lucia. I want to start with fresh news. We have word from the Ministry of Tourism that there are more repatriations to come. 151 more St. Lucia nationals are scheduled to arrive this weekend. On May 24th, we will see 19 nationals arriving in St. Lucia via a chartered service from Barbados. This includes 17 nationals being repatriated from Canada. Subsequently, 59 persons will arrive aboard the Disney Fantasy at Port Castries, and 73 nationals will arrive on May 25th through Port Castries via the Royal Vision of the Seas. So that word there coming from the Ministry of Tourism. An update, we're not only seeing now just a repatriation of cruise line workers, but we're seeing the repatriation of students, persons from mainland, from Canada, being returned home at this time. So quite wonderful news. And of course, as promised by the Minister of Tourism, he did tell us by May 24th we should be hearing of more repatriation happening. Again, more testing, no new cases. Fortunately, St. Lucia continues to record no additional confirmed cases of COVID-19. In a press release from the Ministry of Health and Wellness this week, May 21st, we heard that a batch of 40 tests were conducted, and they all came back negative. This brings our total number of national testing to date to 867 tests. Thursday, March 21st is the 18th consecutive day since we've recorded a confirmed case of COVID-19. This is indeed encouraging results for us at the Ministry of Health and Wellness, just reading from the press release, and certainly for the entire country. However, we should not allow this trend to stop us, to cause us to be complacent at this time. So just a general word from the Ministry of Health and Wellness, making good stride this week, definitely no new cases, and on the 19th consecutive day since we've had a reported case so far.
I think one of the important things as well that the CMO underscored for this week is for individuals to present themselves at the respiratory clinics, and that will be able to assist the efforts, double up the efforts on the sort of community testing that's happening. Because if the slightest thing that you may feel, whether it be the sore throat, if you feel that you, for some reason, begin to sniffle too much, then you need to go. And she underscored that in order for them to be able to add to the numbers for testing, we need to be able to have individuals present themselves at the clinics.
Yeah, definitely. We're seeing a reduced number in testing this week, so
yes,
definitely
and she was, and she did attribute that to the fact that individuals are not coming to
the clinics.
So when we say present yourself, please go to the clinics.
But what I'm saying, Melissa, just to butt in here, are we saying present yourself with or without symptoms, or are we just saying just for curiosity? What
symptomatic?
You know,
Symptomatic.
we are saying
Once you're symptomatic.
Yes.
in terms of we say symptomatic, c'est pour ça Adèle moi bien content les nous ca ni discussion parce que quand il tend à monde présenter corps même si encore si moi pédo nous ca parler là il vini pour monde qui ca aller dans ces cliniques là qui avalé pour tester corps pour ça fait vermine Covid là et que dans ces bagages là si moi quand Jesse Anik dit nous quand nous ca visiter tout ça qui fait en semaine là dans ces bagages là c'est nous ca ouais limo monde qui ca aller trouver corps tester nous ca ouais bien bas et que dans ces raisons pour ça quand Mademoiselle Santé a dit c'est parce que moun pas ka présenter quoi yo mais là nous dit présenter quoi yo moi te ka dit moi même ka dit c'est pas ni présenter quoi aller là tout monde ouais toute femme ou aller là mais présenter quoi sous senti ou anti mal tête sous senti ou la fièvre sous senti ou ni pièce c'est signe qui associé et puis ça fait Covid là parce que ça c'est seulement yo ça dit côté nous qui ça y est combien monde qui a trouvé quoi yo tester c'est si ou senti ou ni ti maladie ça pas veut dire ni Covid parce que nous still en dans saison pour flou avec différentes maladies quoi moi quoi point c'est nous ka faire la bon matin sous senti ou malade sous senti ou ni ti mal tête sous senti pièce c'est signe ça qui associé et puis maladie Covid là on est aller en ces cliniques là nous t'ai bien parlé de yo la gozi les polycliniques là et bon ça aller l'hôpital d'Henry yo ni Saint Jude yo ni l'hôpital Soufouya et sous pas une pièce c'est place ça parce que moi quoi yo ka opéré entre 9 et 4 mais sous pas une pièce c'est place ça yo ka do ou ça aller ni l'hôpital Victoria VH et ben St. Jude.
Yeah. So that's the word there from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Thanks for that, Carlton. A batch of 40 tests this week conducted, all coming back negative. Of course, we have more St. Lucians returning home, and we'd like to thank all the individuals who've been behind this, even students from Canada returning home as well. So we're seeing, as promised by the Ministry of External Affairs and the Ministry of Tourism, the efforts behind the scenes. We don't know what's going on, but we know and we can see the results of it rolling out with persons who are desirous of returning home being able to do so, with again another batch of individuals returning home this week. Of course, these individuals will be immediately placed into quarantine, and they will be quarantined for 14 days and will be under monitoring until they can show and prove that they have no signs and symptoms of COVID-19. You are watching the COVID-19 Response Report, a week in review. We will continue in just a moment. We're due for a break. We have so much more coming up in just a moment from the week that was. Thank you so much for staying tuned. This is the Week in Review, the COVID-19 Response Report. So many developments happening in the past week. We saw the resumption of all businesses this week, of course, in adherence, strict adherence to the protocols as outlined by the authorities. If you have no idea what we're talking about in terms of the protocols, if you want to reopen your business, because you are now allowed, you could go onto the website covid19response.lc. And of course, there are all the protocols listed there specific to your sector.
If I may just jump in here, Jesse, one of the queries we've been seeing via social media is the whole aspect of quarantine. In some islands and some countries, we are aware that persons have to pay for quarantine.
Yes.
But we just need to remind the general public that in St. Lucia, quarantine is absolutely free. So we're just hoping, Cooks, as you mentioned about the testing, that is
Before we
not
went
a
to break.
deterrent,
Yes.
for persons, wanting to go out there and test and then having to pay if they have to be quarantined. And even those persons who are coming, being brought back to the island, our students, persons working on the cruise ships, quarantine is absolutely free, and so are the meals being provided for those persons who are in quarantine.
Moi, quoi ça bien important avant nous prendre pause là encore ou kay bien ça avec plus bonheur moi t'ai oublié merci moi pour dire bonjour et merci pour tout le monde qui ici et puis nous parce que si maintenant chay capable faire quand chay de nous embarrasser ou pas jamais une chance pour ça aller là et puis bon matin nous canique mais là nous ni peut-être donner du temps pour faire mais nous ca essayer mettre tout bagage dans un sac papier tout bagage en yon pour puis comprendre que parmi bagage nous ca parler dit et ben nous ja parler dit les vini pour qui ça qui a fait en semaine et autant nous pas c'est bon a ouvert autant les curfew les vini pour curfew à présent c'est 9h pour 5h parmi l'autre bagaille on ka ça nous parler à sur la ni plus gens citoyens ça veut dire cette ici ka 8 tourner y en a ces bagaille là nous on touché à sur lancer date qui les vini pour ces monde ça ka vie 8 tourner monde ka demander pour payer pour quarantine et non pas ni pour payer pour quarantine quoi nous justifie faire ça bien clair ou pas ni pour payer pour quarantine tout veut qu'on informer là ni l'autre côté monde ni pour payer pour lui. Yes.
Okay. At this time, we have on the line Mr. MacNaughton McLean from the National Insurance Corporation. Good morning, Mr. McLean.
Hi, good morning.
Okay. We hope we can get that ironed out. But we have you on the line here, and we're so thankful that we can finally speak to you one-on-one. The public has had a lot of concerns as it pertains to the output of the NIC at this time. We first heard about NICs helping and coming to aid the individuals who are unemployed, rendered unemployed due to the effects of COVID-19 when the Prime Minister announced the Social Stabilization Plan. And we did hear from the NIC on how this would pan out. However, we're seeing the rollout, and some persons are concerned with the balances that they're seeing in terms of the relief that they have since gotten from NIC. Can you put all concerns, anxieties to rest at this point?
Well, the amount payable under the Economic Relief Program is 50% of monthly salary, and that is between $1,000 and $3,000. So if your salary is less than $1,000, the amount is capped is at $500, irrespective of whether you would not have qualified for the we just cap it at $500. If your salary is over $3,000, the amount is fixed at $1,500. Of course, in these cases, the amount payable by the NIC will be reduced by any amount employees receive from their employer in financial assistance or income. And in that case, the intention, the program is meant to pay a minimum of $500 to every contributor. So what we want to ensure is that no contributor is paid less than $500, and that can be a combination of payout from your employer and payout from the NIC. And I keep emphasizing the point, and a lot of the times we've spoken to a lot of people directly, that if anyone received less than $500, and I'm referring to both a combination of payout from the employer and the employee, contact us directly. You can reach us via telephone, the hotline 457-6003, that's the number to. You can call in to log a query or concern, or you can send an email to covid19@stlucianic.org. And let me explain that a little further. You see, if, for instance, and I think the easiest way that we can say it, if, for example, you normally earn $1,000 or less per month, and your employer pays you $300, you will then get $200 from the NIC. That is $500 less the $300 you would have received from your employer. So that gets you to your $500 that you qualify for under the ERP. That way, nobody is disadvantaged.
Okay, so you're making the appeal who have experienced receiving in total less than $500 to report that to the NIC. Have you so far received any reports, complaints of such, and what is the reason so far that persons are getting less than 500?
Had absolutely no one, when we have investigated, who received less than $500. Most of the cases where, and it is not as many as we think, right? There are a handful of them pretty much, where the people they've gotten a stipend from their employer, and the NIC is paying the difference. We try to reach out to everyone. When we see the complaints on Facebook, we try and reach out to them through the various models on the same platforms for private messenger, and we contact them, we investigate the claim, we look, and we can see the reason why. Remember, the ERP is calculated based on the information submitted by the applicant, as well as the information that is uploaded by the employer using our employer portal. So when we use that information, we can determine what the payout is from the NIC, because the employer plus the applicant would indicate what amount that they received in stipend, vacation pay, or a percentage of salary, and the employer would also corroborate that information, and it's all captured in our system, which then will calculate and make the payouts. And I have not seen a single instant where somebody has received less than $500.
MacNaughton, Lisa Joseph here. Good morning. For the public, the concern is that the NIC never made it clear that there would have been a combination payout. To your recollection and to what your records would show, was there a specific statement from the NIC indicating that it would have been a combination of funds from the NIC as well as the employer?
So we started releasing information on the ERP. On April 28th, we advertised the FAQs, and FAQ 59 is quite clear. I can read it for you. That was posted on April 28th, the day prior to the release of the e-form, so for people to apply. The amount payable under Economic Relief Program is 50% of the monthly salary between $1,000 and $3,000. If your salary is less than $1,000, the amount is payable is fixed at $500. If your salary is over $3,000, the amount payable is fixed at $1,500. In all cases, the amount payable by the NIC will be reduced by any amount you receive in financial assistance or income from your employer or an entity related to your employer during the month period you are claiming for. Of course, you must have satisfied the other qualifying conditions under the ERP. So that was in the, when you're applying as well, the information on requires you to state that. So it tells you then you need to indicate the amount you received from your employer, and all of that information is actually on the application form itself. I can, perhaps I can readily accept that. We were more concerned about making the payments, being able to finally make the payouts, because we had a lot of applications. We had a lot to do prior to being able to release the e-form in terms of developing the systems required. When the COVID-19 hit, we recognized quickly that it was going to be an issue financially for contributors. And so in developing the program, it took some time. We had to build IT systems from the ground up, because there's no way we could manually enter all of that information for over 18,000 applicants under the program. And so therefore it took a little longer, and perhaps we were more preoccupied with doing that and did not focus a lot on it. And in all of our advertising, we keep reminding people to refer to the website for all the information on the ERP, Economic Relief Program. So I can accept that perhaps we did not focus on it as much as we should, but to say that there is no information relating to that is not quite the case, because we did put that information out there. And there, even prior to the first payment, there were people inquiring, and it's there in several of the responses. We're speaking to a lot of the applicants and making them aware of the conditions.
Mark, Carlton Cereal Cooks, I'd just like you to expand a little and speak to the fact that might be a little, not clear, for lack of a better term, when it comes to persons expecting double payments per se, or of the opinion that whenever you were sent home, and now that some of them are back to work, that they're expecting, listen, they're saying it's a 3 months payment, and I was supposed to get April and May, and what is going on, and now that the country is reopened, what happened? Just expound a little on that, because I feel people have the impression that, you know what, I'm expecting 500 or payment from the stimulus package, and I have to get April and May. I am happy that you did explain the fact that if your employer did give you a stipend, maybe your first fortnight was paid by the employer, all the NIC had for you was the balance of the fortnight, you know, as you say, on a deductible, which is deductible from what you would have given. But speak to or expand a little on the fact that how it really works in terms of the payment. While we are saying 3 months, but if you are back at work and if you did receive that stipend, how that really works.
All right. Again, we want to emphasize that the ERP is designed to provide income support and not income replacement. So, and it's to people who are not working because of COVID-19. That's one of the qualifying conditions. People who are not working because of COVID-19. So some people, okay, let's look at for the month of April. If you received some stipend from your employer in April and you got a lower payment, but you got nothing for May, then you'll receive your full entitlement under the ERP. However, if you go back to work in May or say June, because the country is reopening and you go back to June, then you are working. It's not like a case where you're not working. So you are working, and so therefore your employer needs to go back into the employer portal. And that's the other one of the two portals we have created. The employer portal provides an area for the employers to go in and put in the relevant information about the employees. So they can simply go into the employer portal, log in. They would have received a login access for the portal, and they indicate what date you recommend work. And so you will not be paid for the period when you resume work. You are only being paid for the period where you are not working. Again, I must emphasize the point that the program offers income support and not income replacement. I know some people may believe that because the employer pays them a percentage of the salary, that should have nothing to do with the ERP, but that is how the program is designed to provide some income support. It is meant that everyone receives no less than $500. Again, I'm appealing to everyone, anyone who believe they received less than $500, and I'm talking about a combination of both payout from your employer and payout under the ERP. Contact us and we will investigate the claim, because the intention is to ensure that everyone gets at least the minimum of $500, and that should be can be a combination of both payout from the employer and payout from the employee.
Follow up from Carlton there, MacNaughton. You will be seeing the 3-month payout still, even though the country is reopening?
It's designed for 3 months because there may be persons who will not be employed for that period, and the program is designed to provide income support to them. I'm sure not everyone will be employed when the country reopens. So the program will last for the 3 months, April, May, and June. I just want to emphasize also, Lisa, that the first payment applies to the month of April. People will start receiving their May payments at the end of the month.
Okay. I have a query in terms of the employers. Can you speak to their level of compliance in this whole process? What is the extent of their, submission of data so far within the portal?
I think we have a few employers who have actually registered and they've been approved, but they have not yet uploaded the information, which is why we are appealing to them to ensure that they make upload the relevant information about their employees. Sorry, I'm just trying to stop the noise from my phone, which may be disturbing the broadcast. Yes, so we have quite a few. We're reaching out to them directly. We've been calling employers. Most of them are pretty cooperative. There are a few that we have not been able to contact as well, which is why we're advertising. We've placed advertising on radio and social media to encourage employers to go onto the portal and put in the relevant information. And additionally, we also want to appeal to the employers once they have reopened, and we know even when some employers reopen, not all of the employees will come back to work immediately. They need to go back into the portal and put in the information to indicate who is back at work and who is still at home.
MacNaughton, as we wrap up, if you could just give us the contact information. They have some individuals. There are some individuals who are wanting to know the contact information for making queries and complaints.
457-6003, 457-6003, or send an email to covid19@stlucianic.org. That's St. Lucia, STLUCIANIC.org.
The number again, please?
457-6003.
600. Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you very much for that quick update, definitely providing clarity to a number of St. Lucians who were very concerned upon seeing the double digits in their bank accounts being deposited by NIC. But thank you for just clearing that up. We really do appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, goodbye. Okay, that were there from the National Insurance Corporation representative, MacNaughton McLean, giving us an update there. Definitely a show of, if anything, the graciousness of our employers, if anything, the employers making, donations, giving stipends at this time to their employees.
But I think too that a number of employers do not want to completely fold.
Yeah.
And your employees are really the heart of
Lifeline.
what your business is about. And certainly it is, I think it works out to be a sort of win-win situation if you really look at it on the reverse end of things. So the employer would be able to pay something where it may not be the full salary, but if I can contribute, that keeps you as my employee. And if the NIC can meet the other way, then at least we can all try to stay afloat as much as possible. So when you look at it on that end of things, I know that for someone, the head of a household, for you would say, well, it would have been nice if I could have gotten what I was getting from my employer and still be able to get the full 500 or the full 1,500 from the NIC as well. I know in larger economies that happens. In the US, for example, in Europe, that happens because, of course, the resources are far greater than what we have. But because it's a question, at least to my mind, of trying to manage what is available as well as allow everyone to have food on the table. It's a sort of sharing of the pie situation that's going on. So, but it is very good to know that the April to June is being honored, and that's what's happening. We did hear the indication from the Prime Minister very, very early on, as well as the NIC, that if needs be, then that would have been extended to a further 3 months, making it 6 months in total.
Just to reiterate, the economic relief program is to offer income support.
Yes.
I think that's very important that we see that that is not going to, it's not supposed to replace your total income when you're employed. It's just to, a stopgap measure, if we put it that way, in terms of you being unemployed and just being able to make it over, make it through those 3 months until such time as you regain employment or the country reopens. So I just thought that we need to
And it was supplemented by moratoria, the relief that we're getting from utility companies as well. So you're not, left out in, on your own with $500.
And having to make that $500,
Stretch.
pay all of the bills, and trying to put food on the table and other incidentals that come up because life is forever moving.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yes.
Moi, just mais c'est pas détenu à sous un topic là, ça qui bien important pour nous, puis ça vous qu'à écouter, continuer, qu'à suivre nous. Nous parler là-bas, monsieur MacNaughton McLean, et puis c'est lui qui est responsable venu pour NIC pour disséminer information. Et puis là, en chaque question venir, qu'on a échangé, raison pour ça, c'est parce que le gouvernement t'a parlé d'un support en bas plan pour supporter nation, et bien, monde qui perd d'employement yo, expressement les vini secteur tourisme, mais toutes les autres. Là, la teni, moun pa te comprendre moi kay dit en opinion moi, qui ça qui te ka fait là. Et là, nous t'en en chay bagay fait clair. Premier pas gouvernement dit ça c'est pour 3 mois, mais en 3 mois nous t'en hot monsieur MacNaughton McLean dat qui si moun nan ka travail bay là, si ite haba ou an nous dit par exemple en fortnight, les yo vini pour payer ou même si le gouvernement te dit entre $500 et puis 1,500, il ka aller à condens pour salaire. Mais si employeur te haba ou on nous dit $200, ça veut dire NIC simplement kay ba ou $300 pour vous payer $500 parce que ça yo ka dire si ou jawi souver en bagay hod koto ka travail là. Ça NIC ni ba ou c'est simplement l'instant ça ou pas te joindre. Changer encore raison de ça ou ka vle ça c'est parce que là où ou ka fait contribution ba NIC c'est qui ça ou ko ka travail là et qui ça NIC DA ka vinn ensemble pour faire ça ou ka hen ça qui bien important c'est là c'est pas en place pour dire sous perd travail yo ka nik ba ou l'argent. Ici l'argent yo ka ba pour assister pas dit ton pas qu'à travail. L'autre bagay là qui bien important c'est sous tes ajoué dans bagay hot place long qu'à travail là pour moi avouya NIC kay just ba ou l'instant. Sous pas travail pièce pour moi mère ou kay hen ça ka vini pour condense pour combien salaire. Ça qui bien important pour ça 3 mois qui gouvernement a dit yo kay honorer ça mais changer encore yo ka mandé place travail si ou vie ouvert ou supposé faire une dissuasion ça et mettez information ba yo en sur internet là quoi yo même kay savent ça ka aller parce que pour yo peut faire une décision yo besoin information kay plein à sous application et puis information qui ka sorti hors employeur et puis ça bien important pour monde ça mais pas dit nous ka courir vitement ou kay savent yo nan se bagay là on ça fait sous pas comprendre rien ça nous dit eh ben si une pièce question ou peut couiller c'est mon limoa ça c'est NIC limoa c'est 457 6003 ça c'est 457 6003 457 6003 et ben ça là sur internet là COVID-19 at St. Lucia NIC.org ou peut aller là pour plus information que nous quoi nous fait bagay en petit plus clair ba ou.
Thank you very much for that, Carlton. What we're going to do is take a quick break, but there you have it, getting some clarification from MacNaughton McLean from the NIC on this income support, the role of the NIC under the economic relief program. A lot of persons had concerns when they got their checks, got their deposits from NIC, seeing double digits and wondering, what was really going on. But we're seeing that it's a combination of the stipends that you would have received from your employer, as well as the balance being given by the NIC. Again, if you have any concerns, any queries, anything that has been said by Mr. McLean or us on the panel here this morning that you don't understand, you can call 457-6003, or you can send an email to COVID-19 at St. Lucia, that is STLUCIA, NIC.org. Do stay tuned.
And in the latest news, the coronavirus, or COVID-19, continues to be a health emergency across the world. Caribbean people are concerned.
Everybody know about COVID-19. COVID-19. Keep socially distance and your proper hygiene. Wash your hands then clean. And don't discriminate, cause it might be. It very well could be. Somebody will look like you or look like me. Listening, listening. We're in this together. Yeah. We all got to work with each other. Yeah. Look out for our friends and our neighbor. And if you feel sick, don't be afraid to call the doctor.
Red Cross volunteers from across the Caribbean, working hard to fight discrimination. So if a person should feel ill, then they will contact the authorities without hesitation.
The most vulnerable are the elderly, but the truth is it can infect anybody. So what we need is solidarity. Everyone helping everyone like a family. So
this is a message to the nation. Make sure you seek out the right information from official sources like the Ministry of Health, Red Cross and the World Health Organization.
Everybody know about COVID-19. COVID-19. Keep socially distance and your proper hygiene. Wash your hands then clean. And don't discriminate, cause it might be. It very well could be. Somebody will look like you or look like me. Listening, listening.
People around the world facing this pandemic. Coronavirus have the whole world a panic. Now is not the time to be fearful, but to be careful, supportive and empathetic.
This is the state of this society. Some people full of fear and anxiety. Yo, a lot of fake news in the community. But what we need now is more love and unity. So
this is a message to the nation. Make sure you seek out the right information from official sources like the Ministry of Health, Red Cross and the World Health Organization.
Everybody know about COVID-19. COVID-19. Keep socially distance and your proper hygiene. Wash your hands then clean. And don't discriminate, cause it might be. It very well could be. Somebody will look like you or look like me. Listening, listening. We're in this together. We all got to work with each other. Look out for our friends and our neighbor. And if you feel sick, don't be afraid to call the doctor.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. We are back looking at the week that was. Just got off the line with an NIC representative. We know a lot of you have been wondering up in arms about the figures that you're seeing in your bank accounts being deposited by NIC. We got Mr. MacNaughton McLean to just explain everything, bring some clarity to the viewership this morning. The income support that we're getting under the economic relief program from the NIC is just to help tide you over for at this time. It's not to replace your salary, it's just to help tide you over until this COVID-19 situation irons itself out. And also it is the balance that is paid. If your employer has given you a stipend, the balance of whatever is due to you based on the explanation given by Mr. McLean in terms of the less than 1,000 or more than 3,000, either you're getting $500 or you're getting $1,500, two
and
fixed
then of course there's
figures,
the in-between.
and the in-between as well. The balance, if you were given a stipend by your employer, then NIC would pay you the balance of what you are owed in terms of this income support being paid out under the Social Stabilization Plan of the government of St. Lucia. We want to move on now to the protocols that have been finalized to facilitate national examinations in St. Lucia and the phased reopening of schools, and that is for specifically grades 6 and Form 5. We want to let you know that physical school attendance for the third term of the academic year remains suspended. We have the learning from home situation going on right now for all students, but physical school attendance remains suspended. Health officials cleared the education sector for the full reopening of school. However, the Ministry of Education is proceeding with a very safe, a very cautious, phased reopening of school in class. Initially, we got word in a press conference yesterday from the Ministry of Education that initially this will facilitate at least 3 weeks of in-class instruction for grade 6 and Form 5 students. before they sit the common entrance examinations and CSEC, and that's beginning June 2nd. We have a clip from Dr. Fiona Philip-Meyer just giving us an understanding of all the considerations that have been in play for this phased reopening.
We appreciate that schools are different. A school with 120 grade 6 students is a different environment to a school with 20 grade 6 students. And so there will be an individual plan based on each of those schools, similarly for our secondary schools. We spoke of some of the issues for our parents and making sure that we get the names of vulnerable students for our school feeding, our transportation subsidy, the use of our mask. All of those bits of information have been collected to ensure that any needs that we have out there, we do our utmost to ensure that our students get the best possible reintegration into the school. We have not left out our teachers, and we continue to say that teacher voice is important in the implementation of this program moving forward. Our counseling services continue to be available to all of us.
And just to give you some figures, the common entrance exam is scheduled for the 29th of June. And we have 2,198 candidates scheduled to sit that exam. The CAPE examinations, 492 candidates. And CSEC, 2,444 candidates. These examinations will be held between the 29th of June to the 17th of July. The Caribbean Certificate of Secondary Level Competence, that is CCSLC, that's 114 students, 114 candidates will be sitting those examinations. Students are encouraged to bring a mask from home. However, schools will be equipped with masks for students and administrators who may need a mask if they come to school without one. All decisions following COVID-19 are made on the National Risk Assessment, based on the National Risk Assessment. The Chief Medical Officer was on hand at the press conference yesterday, re-emphasizing us learning to coexist with COVID-19 at this time, and speaking specifically to education.
It is estimated that COVID-19 will be here with us for over 2 years. The education sector, in a similar way, like every other sector, needs to implement protocols to ensure safe instruction of our students. In reality, is the option of keeping schools closed for 2 years. We understand the panic and the fear related to COVID-19, and this is also justified given the pandemic in the developed world. But we cannot act out of fear. We need to use the assessment of our local situation and ensure the necessary measures are in place to move forward.
So that's just some excerpts, some clips from yesterday's press conference on the finalized protocols to facilitate national examinations and the phased reopening of schools. Of course, for grade 6 and Form 5, these students are preparing for common entrance and CXC respectively.
You know, Jessie, I think that sometimes what's lost in the conversation as well is that with just Form 5 students and the 6th graders going to a school, it means that the entire school compound is available. So I think that when we talk about the reopening, that's what I like to say, the partial reopening,
yes,
that it is not the entire school
phased,
population.
And technically, it's not even a reopening, it's the preparation of the students for the exams. More or less, that's what it is.
It is sometimes, it can be a bit disturbing when you hear the public comment, because at first, when we had the initial shutdown of schools, when we closed schools, even before the country had this shutdown, the complaint was that examinations were approaching.
Yes.
That was the public concern.
Now.
So you send the children away, but they have exams coming. So all of that, you had the e-learning platforms, students were at home. So all of that process for you to continue learning online took place. And then, of course, the agitation started because the Caribbean Examination Council then scheduled exams for July for CSEC. So, of course, people started to get a little agitated again. So now they're telling you that you can now have that physical contact if you want the chalk and talk, because we are so,
wired for it.
Yes, we wired for that. So you can have that final revision with your teacher in a classroom. But we have an entire school in order for you to be able to break up the students, right? You can actually have separation because you have an entire school compound to do that. So, and in the average primary school, would you say that the classes would be maybe at what, 120 students who would be doing the common entrance examination?
Per school?
Yeah, per school or on average.
Some schools is much lower.
Yeah.
There you go. So, and you can actually, if you want, simply have 6 students in a classroom. So you may now have more teachers to come in, but you are all around lessening that really close contact of everyone, because again, you have that entire school compound in order for you to do that physical distancing. And then we talk about the students. Well, will children really be able to say, when you say don't play, children are the ones who actually lead in the household. Who actually, teacher says don't do this, and parents will tell you that. That when they will tell their child to do X, they say, no, teacher said to do Y. And they're so adamant about it. So I think that sometimes we, as the adults, we ought not to try to, if we remain calm and we think about things logically, then we are better able to allow the children themselves to settle into the new normal.
A more
you know?
easy transition.
Yeah, more, exactly.
It makes that easy.
Yes,
Yes.
Sooner the better.
And this phase opening, we're looking at technically about 16 to 18 weeks. In the very first week, you have the Monday with Monday holiday, so you have 4 days of that week. The following week, there's another holiday, Corpus Christi. So another 4-day week, and then the other 2 weeks, 5 days, 5 days, and so on.
Yes.
And from what we are hearing, a number of the schools will be looking at the staggering of the times. So you won't have all of the students on the compound at the same time. In some instances, it may be a shift system with the students coming from 9 until 12. So you won't have all the students there all at once. So as we've been hearing, even yesterday listening to CNN, COVID-19, this is going to be around for a while. We all have our fears.
Well,
we
the
all have our
WHO
concerns.
has said so.
But
2 years.
you know, how do we manage this? How do we go back to a situation where everyone is not going to satisfy everyone, but we need to do something whereby we gain some form of normalcy. Things are never going to go back to the way they were. We have accepted that. But there need to be some semblance for students, for employers, for employees, for our nurses, for our doctors, for our hotel workers. There need to be some sort of balancing act that we need to pursue at this time. We cannot just roll over and say, okay, COVID is going to be here for the next 2 years or so, so let's all just lock ourselves in a room and nothing happens. We need to create some form of balancing act, and we need to take heed to the protocols. A lot of it, whereas the CMO and the government and everyone else will put the protocols in place. A lot of this has to do with our personal responsibility as well. You know, a lot of it going forward.
And I like that Tony and Lisa alluded to that, I think, on our last program. Moun ne pou prendre responsabilité personnellement pour ça qu'a fait là, parce que nous ka bay information ici et nous ka dit, but est-ce que moun ka coûter, est-ce moun ka mette en pratique. Nous ka parler sur affaire l'école, mamay l'école, examination, nous ka parler common entrance, CSEC, et puis là ou ka Xavier sous programme dans CMO là, et puis nous teni, et puis aussi Dr. Fiona Philippe Mayer, il était là, c'est chef officier les vini pour éducation et les vini pour l'école avec maman l'école qui ça qui a fait parmi bagay qui discuter yo jabay c'est l'école la permission pour ouvert mais à sous condition qui ça qui a fait avant c'est maman là qui supposé faire l'examination yon kon c'est maman grade 6 là c'est maman là en plus grand l'école form 5 ça c'est maman là qui en 5e form là c'est moun ça ni examination yo pour faire quoi yo kay permettre c'est maman ça pour attendre l'école avant encore yo ni condition c'est maman ça yon qui kay en l'école là quoi l'école pas ka ouvert pour tout le monde. Yo kay ouvert l'école là yo jad yo oui l'école kay ouvert mais il kay fait et puis c'est maman là qui a fait common entrance là et puis c'est maman là qui a fait CXC et puis SC là ça yo ka dire après c'est maman ça l'école là même kay vinn pas plan manière l'instant c'est maman là kay attendait l'école mais trouver qu'on informer nous voulons faire ça bien clair à présent l'école kay ouvert et qui kay ouvert by c'est maman là qui a fait common entrance et puis CXC c'est date là pour ça moi kay ba oui et pay attention pour lui là il vini pour c'est maman là qui a fait common entrance c'est maman ça examination yo kay commencer le 29 juin et puis kay aller pour le 29 juin ça excusez-moi et nous avons à peu près 2198 mamay là il vini pour au kaywe l'année 442 mamay qui a fait 66 204 444 candidats qui a fait et date là pour ça kay le 29 juin pour le 17 juillet et là vini pour ces mamay là qui a fait CCSLC ça c'est certificat pour carré blanc dans section secondaire ou kay l'année à peu près 114 mamay encore ou qu'on yon parent ou qui niche et ces dates là ou supposé prendre responsabilité pour connaître ces dates ça c'est les copains ça qui a dit parce qu'un chay moun pas ka coûter et puis yo ka répéter n'importe ça yo tan quoi nous ka ba ou information ça qui bien important ou quand maman quand parent ni pour faire assurer ces maman là yo ni masio là yo ka quitter kay là ou ni pour faire ça mais l'école là kay ni mas là ça pas veut dire pas ba issue mas parce que si ou pas ka mener si ou pas ni transportation ça veut dire yo kay ni pour bâtir transport pour yo aller là quoi ou ni pour ba issue yon mas mais la kay ni l'école là yo fait ça bien clair et puis là vini pour toute décision qui a fait expressément national en pays yo kay point ça et yo kay ACC si moi jadi là vini pour mamay l'école et éducation yo ni pour vivre ensemble quoi nous quoi nous faire ça petit plus clair ba ou qu'on nous continue ici à sur ensemble de bon matin.
One other point on that would be that the CMO made it very, very clear that the decisions that are being taken now about how we are going about reopening, going back to our lives as normal as we possibly can, is being driven by the data that is being collected. And I think that is important. I know that people say, but look, that other country opened and then you can see what happened. Yes, but let's look at what your situation is, and that's exceedingly important. When you're making those decisions, you base it on fact, scientific fact. What is happening in St. Lucia? Of course, when we're talking about the opening of the borders and so forth, that's a separate conversation. But specifically when it comes to what we're doing domestically, that has to be driven by what is happening with our domestic situation. And all of the research data collection so far shows that we are relatively safe for the children to be able to venture out and see how they can put those final touches on their preparation for exams.
And the reason we're able to progress in this way is because, frankly, St. Lucia is doing better than most.
Yes.
You know, we are doing better than most in terms of managing, containing COVID-19, not to say that the threat does not still exist, but we have, you know, done better than, you know, many other countries. You know, you're looking at the larger countries that are still grappling with these ridiculous figures of persons contracting the disease and succumbing. Anywho. Moving on.
If you could just give the dates again for the examination.
The dates for the examinations, common entrance exam is on the 29th of June. We have 22,198 candidates sitting that exam on the 29th of June. We have CXC. CXC, we know, is many subjects, and that will be during the course of the 29th of June to the 17th of July. CAPE will also run during this time as well. CAPE examinations will run during that time also. We continue with this morning's week in review with the phased reopening of the tourism accommodation services, and there has been a lot of mixed emotions, mixed views on, you know, the reopening of the country, the reopening of our borders. Again, we have to settle into a new normal. The government of St. Lucia announced a phased approach to reopening the island's tourism sector beginning June 4th. And phase 1 of the reopening includes welcoming international flights at Urinora International Airport from the United States only. So we're not reopening our borders to every country, to anyone who wants to come back. The Urinora International Airport will be taking international flights from the United States only. Travelers are advised to check with airlines regarding flight schedules and rules prior to booking. In anticipation of these first visitors, some 1,500 hotel rooms in St. Lucia are being prepared to open in early June, pending completion of a new COVID-19 certification process. So that is the latest update on the reopening of the tourism accommodation services. I think we have a report with the Minister, Honorable Guy Joseph, speaking on what this reopening will look like from, you know, and the decision to come upon reopening from a governance perspective.
As the country moves through the various phases of reopening its economy, the potential impact on the people of St. Lucia is not lost on the government as it continues to bolster the health sector, ensuring that the country is equipped to deal with potential COVID-related threats. Minister for Economic Development, Housing, Urban Renewal, Transport and Civil Aviation, Honorable Guy Joseph, explained that the Victoria Hospital is being outfitted to serve as an isolation center. He indicated that an estimated 20 isolation rooms would be available by the 1st of June. The minister admitted that the pandemic has placed the government in a difficult situation. However, before the decision was taken to reopen the country, both the economic situation and the human aspect were weighed.
People are only thinking sometimes when we speak about opening the borders of our tourists coming in. We have hundreds and hundreds, I might say thousands of St. Lucians who want to come back home. Right. Many of them have been stranded abroad for quite an extended period of time. They may have run out of money by now. Not they may. A lot of them have run out. So they're living in these places at the mercy of other individuals. A lot of these people want to come back home. Unless the flights begin to come in, some of these people cannot return. Even in these people returning, we have to take it on a phased approach as to how many can we handle at the quarantine facilities. Because given where they are coming from, a lot of them may need to be quarantined when they come in. So it is our own internal capacity to be able to handle a lot of these things that would come into play.
Based on predictions, the COVID-19 pandemic and its effects will remain for years. As such, the minister indicated that it is for this reason that a comprehensive plan has been rolled out to support the reopening of the economy, as the country cannot remain closed indefinitely.
From all what we are hearing from science, COVID is going to be here for a while. By the time we get the right vaccine, the production of the vaccine to be able to be distributed to the people who need it, and that would be on a global scale, it may be a year and 18 months from now, as the experts are saying. And I can tell you, from January, they were still saying a year and 18 months. Today, 5 months later, they are still saying a year and 6 months. So clearly we are up against it. The reality is, can we survive as a country just focusing on the health without dealing with the economic crisis? And that is what brings us to the point where we are taking very measured approach. And St. Lucia continues to be a world leader in dealing with this matter. If you look at the plan outlined by the team for the reopening of the borders in St. Lucia.
A number of strict protocols have been established and put in place for the various sectors as the country forges ahead with the reopening.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Janelle. Phase 1 of the reopening includes welcoming international flights at Uranora International Airport from the United States only. We want to stress that information as much as possible. And for individuals who are concerned, we have, Carlton and I, and I'm certain on your programs as well, stressed that the experience of the tourist coming to St. Lucia will be a cloistered one, where the individual, the visitors, the tourists will have to remain on the hotel compound. They will have to stay in there and experience their vacation from that location. If I can just refer to the COVID-19 protocols for tourism accommodation services, you can get access to that protocol on the COVID-19 response.lc website. It talks about all of the very stringent measures to not only protect the tourists that are coming, but to protect the St. Lucian population. All guests on property must present negative COVID-19 tests taken within 24 to 48 hours of travel at check-in. Just to go through the other aspects, an action plan should ensure as much as possible limited face-to-face interactions between guests and staff by encouraging the use of various technologies. So there are even measures being put in place to protect the staff that would be returning to work at the hotels and other the accommodation services sector in St. Lucia. It is expected that there will be training for the staff so that they can know how to protect themselves from the threat of COVID-19. Just going through the protocol really quickly to see where possible, management should encourage cashless transactions. Clear procedures for receiving money and processing of credit cards must be established. Guests are required to sign that they have read and agreed to the conditions and guidelines they would be required to adhere to once on the property and on island. And we would have heard from the Ministry of Tourism during the Operation Command Center presentation last week that the guests would be required to stay at the hotels, and they would be required to adhere to very stringent measures while they are there, guests and staff of the hotels as well. I don't want to miss out on any of these, the important, just going down to restrictions on activities for the tourists. Meetings and conventions are not permitted. Nightclubs at the hotels not permitted. Tourism taxi use must be a holder of a tourism operational certificate. And the certificate that, certification that is ongoing right now is to equip all of the individuals within the tourism accommodation services sector to help them understand how they must go about their job under this new normal. Families, groups traveling for weddings are traveling together or part of the same group. Ensure that drapes or curtains in rooms are finished with material that can easily be cleaned and disinfected. I'm just going into the other measures being taken for, to ensure that the threat of COVID-19 is reduced as much as possible within the hotels. But definitely there are measures that have been put in place to ensure that when the tourists do come to St. Lucia, and even before they come to St. Lucia, that the threat of COVID-19 is reduced as much as possible. The measures are very stringent when they do stay here in St. Lucia. They will not be able to roam, they will not be able to go on hikes, they cannot come into your community, there's no Fish Friday to come to anyway, so these things have all been taken into consideration, and the tourists will not be allowed to just roam St. Lucia as they want, and as would be the normal before COVID-19.
And Jesse, also that we need to bear in mind that we're not the first point of contact for the visitors. And that first point of check and balance, if you will have to be at the airport, their airports. You must present that certificate before you can board that flight. And so there is that coordinated approach that you see from all of the stakeholders within that tourism industry that is beyond just St. Lucia. And speaking about that, Tony, we're not the only ones opening, correct?
Right, and like you mentioned, the consultation was just not within our borders. We had partnership in terms of the discussion at the OECS level and even at the CARICOM level. And just to run down some of the other islands, Antigua and Barbuda proposed date for reopening June 1st, Aruba June 15th, the Bahamas July 1st, Belize July 1st, Cuba July, the BVI September, Cayman Islands September, Curacao June, Grenada is also June, Dominica June as well, St. Kitts, I know a lot of folks like to compare what's happening in St. Kitts with St. Lucia. Well, St. Kitts is June the 6th. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, their borders remain open.
Never closed.
Never closed. St. Lucia, well, we just heard about St. Lucia. St. Martin in June. The U.S. Virgin Islands already open. Puerto Rico open, but you must do a 14-day quarantine when you get there. Mexico, they're looking at June to July, and the Dominican Republic in July. So these are just some of the islands and the opening date as far as their borders and looking at tourism. In the case of St. Kitts, Antigua, when you get to Antigua, you're required to take a rapid test on arrival, and that is at the expense of the visitor. St. Lucia, you must present a COVID negative test on arrival, and there will be temperature checks as well at our ports of entry. Here we're talking about the Hewan Airport. We saw recently the donation by the Taiwanese of those devices where you could instantly check the temperatures on arrival at our ports of entry.
And also you're having now the isolation units at the hotels that will be reopened for business. So that's a critical point, because if at any point any of the visitors are displaying any symptom signs, then they are then transferred to that isolation unit where you call in now the medical professionals will be able to do the assessments and so forth. And it is also important to note that for the islands that are going to be opening up in September, it is because I think they haven't gotten a handle yet on containment as we have, or flattening the curve as we have done. So they're giving themselves a little bit more time to do so. And the Bahamas as well as Cayman Islands.
Yes.
And so if you look at the business that these two...
The Bahamas is July.
For July. So the Cayman Islands, for example, going down to September, again, because their numbers, they've not been able to have a containment. And also the Cayman Islands and the U.S., because yes, the U.S. remains a hotspot, but you have all of the business, the majority of the business of Cayman Islands is from the U.S. And also people come in, they live there and so forth. And so, again, just trying to flatten their own curve before they can go
and in addition to that, for example, Jamaica and Trinidad have not given a commitment as far as the opening for exactly the reasons that you're discussing. They're not satisfied that they've gotten a handle on the situation as far as COVID-19 is concerned. So,
And just to re-emphasize, Lisa, while we say in the Estonian, we are giving the updates as to the reopening, and we're speaking of the accommodation sector, the triggers, it's very important that those are proposed dates. It's not written in stone. And just like you said, and I remember CMO was saying, for example, if we see signs of clusters where you could have that example of in one household, you have 10 persons infected, this is something that could be taken care of. But where you have the situation where it's flipped now, you have in 10 different communities, 10 persons. Now the contact tracing and the resources, so there are triggers. Souka koute nou sa nou ka diskite ici an bagay ki bien important, c'est ou ka itan vini le 4 juin, pays a le vini pour gens qui involvent en affaires touristes, hotel, guest house, c'est place la kay ouvert, port kay ouvert, ouvert et que parmi bagay ou kay savent les vini pour airport Vieux-Fort parmi côté l'Amérique yo kay permettre moun qui ka sorti hors de l'Amérique entrer mais la kay ni condition les y vini pour moun ka vini ici parmi yo avant gen tiko ou kay ni pour ça 24 ou 48 ne temps kay ni pour mouche date qui ou pas ou ja un test négatif là où il ici c'est taxi à manière c'est moun sa kay amasso manière yo kay conducter koyo c'est place business là yo kay ni pour mettre bagay en place quand te ka tan Jesse te ka dit c'est moun qui ka venir yo pas kay permettre c'est moun sa pour aller tout partout arriver ça nous ni cette laisser moun vle aller sauf non c'est moun sa ka été là sous propriétaire et tout ça yo kay brisé fait kay là c'est travailleur yo ni pour ba yo équipement had là par exemple yo pas ça même quitter propriétaire et puis had là en là yo ni pour quitter là pour hôtel là ça la veille docteur nurse qui responsable pour faire assurer moun yo pas ni en la fièvre yo pas pièce sinde vers maintenant quoi ka ouais pas dit temps cette lycée qui a ouvert nous ka parler dit 4e stage phase là les vini pour vier ouvert pays ou ka savent l'année en chaque condition et quand parmi yo qui bien important c'est date qui les CMO et gouvernement examiner qui ça qui a fait ou payer en situation côté yo dit non nous pourquoi pas ouais nous ni pour espérer parce que tout ça nous qu'a fait ni pour faire et puis côté nous là vini pour vermina quoi trouver qu'on informer les juin les 4e juin place là ka ouvert et puis là déjà on attend nous expecter pour ni 1500 moun kay visiter et puis ces chambres hôtel là c'est place ça yo kay ouvert et puis condition les yo préparer quand yo pour ouvert yo mettez toute bagaille en place quoi panique quoi c'est nous yon talà là nous de bay ces dates là c'est kick c'est Lozette c'est pays Antigua toutes ces places ça ka ouvert encore condition ce quoi nous ka quoi ou kay comprendre en parmi bagay nou vle do ou kay bien ouais ka vini à 5h yo kay jouer dimanche à 5h ou kay ouais ces conditions bay par chef officier en bureau santé puis c'est Ragnanan il kay bay explanation pour tous ces secteurs et qui ça yo besoin mettre en place quoi ou savez pour ça dimanche qui c'est demain ou savez pour les à 5h ou kay hen toute information parce que c'est un chay pour moun pe comprendre mais fais ça pour ça comprendre et connaître les pour encore.
But it's also a situation much like the schools that
yes.
Not all the hotels will be opening at 1,500 rooms. And what do we have? We have something like 4,500 rooms in total, in St. Lucia hotel rooms in total. So at 1,500 rooms, we're not talking about all. And certainly it's not a question of a hotel that's just opening and simply expecting that people will just say, okay, great, I'm going to travel.
Bookings.
But you have bookings. And I think we see too that maybe how the industry operates is a little lost on the average individual. So there are people out there who had their bookings maybe a year ago, long before COVID, and perhaps they still want to honor that. Because
weddings are scheduled.
All of that. So people want to honor those bookings rather than lose out on the money. Maybe there'll be no refund. And we know how that refund business works when it's an act of God. You don't ever get it back. So maybe you want to honor that and come in. So for the hotels now who probably have, and I think at last that I checked that we had maybe about 40% for people bookings.
Right.
So would want to come in. And so for, of course, the hotels who do have that and they have to cater to that, they would have to be open for that. But most importantly, guys, I think too that by simply showing that you are ready for business, showing that you know what needs to be done in order to keep everyone safe, tells the market that you are serious about your country, you're serious about being progressive and moving on. Because as we keep stating, COVID isn't about to go anywhere anytime fast. And so in order for you to be able to drum up that confidence in the marketplace, confidence with the people, even your own people, you need to show that you know what you're doing, you're deliberate in how you are making sure that all of these plans are executed. But most importantly for St. Lucia, because we have had tremendous success with all that we have done, that alone evokes that confidence. And I think too that as St. Lucians, We must bear that in mind. If we all keep doing what we're supposed to be doing, we will be okay.
Absolutely. And just adjusting to the new normal is what it will have to be. We're hearing from the CMO that it will take us 2 years. The prediction is that we'll be dealing with COVID-19 for the next 2 years. And so we need to find, a balance between our health and safety measures as well as, resuming with our economy. We are due for another break. We hope you can stay tuned. When we come back, we have more updates as the businesses being allowed to reopen as of this week, May 18th. Zoning has ceased, as well as the reduced curfew. We also have an update on the water-related emergency. So stay tuned for that and more coming up in just a moment.
Cette lisi ka registre vers min corona. Ek I ka fait mouvement ek an chay vitesse tan, chaque canef ka kouye pour viligence publique la, fait wolo, parler en place publique, kon bol en main, base, ti boutique, changer, distance sociale, 6 pieds, hod yon a lot, I ka travay tan, si ou senti ko pa cordial, quarantine ko, partware contact et puis l'autre, en cas où te toi pe exposé. Si on est couillé, free 11 ou ben n'importe clinique yo pou yo. Les pays a dimi à clé, ça veut dire les supermarkets, pharmacies et puis ATM, yo accessible avant c'était souhait. Pays à clé en plein, ça veut dire tout bagay fermé à 24 heures. Servi protocole comme sorti par bureau indication santé. Nous tout ensemble, ça sauve vers min corona. Si nous tout servi jidla à toutes les.
Together let us win this war. Say Lucia be a soldier. Together we can beat this corona.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. We just want to give you some bulletin information. We have the Chief Environmental Health Officer, Mr. Parker Ragnanan. The recording we had of him playing this week, it's on the protocols, the general and specific protocols that have been put in place in our response to COVID-19 here in St. Lucia as we reopen our society. He will be the recording will come on at 5 p.m. We will also be replaying the national consultation on the reopening of society that was done by the Operations Command Center in response to COVID-19. That consultation, which was held last week, Friday, we will be replaying it at 8 p.m. this evening. So we just want to help you catch up and understand everything that has been transpiring. We're seeing some questions and some queries in the live that would be easily answered if you just took the time to sit down and listen to the consultation that will be aired at 8 p.m., a recording, as well as Mr. Parker Ragnanan's delivery on the general and specific protocols for COVID-19 as we resume our operations here in St. Lucia.
And just to emphasize, I saw a question there coming in from Chris. Chris, St. Lucians are allowed to come home. We think we started the program saying so. We talked about the numbers that are repatriated. For you, if you want to simply pack up your bags, if you're living overseas, you want to pack up your bags and come home, you can do that. There's nothing preventing you from doing so. But I think the caveat there is that in the US, the airlines are ready to fly.
Yes.
We can't see the same coming out of Canada, coming out of the UK, and further afield across Europe. But for now, what is known in the marketplace is that the US airlines are ready to fly.
And we have to add as well, and the airlines also have their own protocols in place. I've been reading upon some of them. For example, now there's a longer time in terms of being at the airport, in terms of some airlines are suggesting that you must confirm online, so you don't have a situation where you have long lines leading up to the counters at the airport. So all of these things have to be put in place with the airlines in partnership with the various countries as well. So it's an ongoing consultation. I said the UK and Canada and the other countries. It's not simply saying our borders are open and everyone is just flying in. So our friends who are in the US who desirous of coming back home, then there's that opportunity. Eventually, the other borders will be opening up and our other nationals will be able to fly back home.
And but it's important to do this test, and I look at this really as a sort of testing period, a litmus test.
Pilot.
Yeah, how well will we be able to adapt? And so with the triggers, Cox, that you were speaking about earlier on, that if we were to have any sort of trigger,
so
how now can we, as quickly as we can implement all that we need to do in order to have that sort of safeguard.
It's like with 911. We thought we would never adapt. We thought we would never get over, you know, taking off your shoes and all of these protocols, not being able to fly with a bottle of water in your hand and all of these things. And
well, you know, now when we fly and we're so ready, some people go without shoes. Just to save time.
Added to that, Lucia, we would also observe when we speak of moving on to the 4th phase, that CMO did make a reference to us beefing up our health system in terms of preparing for an epidemic or relapse, that make sure we have things in place. They did talk about making sure our workers, our essential workers and the PPE equipment are up to date. You know, so I do agree when it comes to saying, okay, what is in place? Taking into consideration, moving into our 4th phase, all of that is addressed. And again, it is, we have to emphasize and put an emphasis on the fact that nothing is written in stone. We are saying the situation is still fluid. I mean, and it's on a global scale that, listen, while we are saying persons are coming home, there will be requirements on the other end. So you coming from the States, you need to find out exactly what it is. The airline, what it is. But what is good, or we should note over here, is that we are disseminating the information as to what is St. Lucia doing. And of course, we have to re-emphasize and put into context our figures. The CMO saying, listen, everything is being done on a 14-day basis to say what has happened, the tests, where we at and what's going on. So it would be very interesting to see what happens after the 4th and during the 4th. And of course, it would, again, show where we at and what might happen.
And we're not forcing anyone to come to St. Lucia because we have said that we open for business. Certainly everybody, it will be an individual case. So if I am not able to afford a 14-day quarantine period, let's say, because I'm seeing some questions here in the chat, that I want to return home just to visit family, friends. If I am not able to be able to quarantine for 14 days and still have time left over to go out and see my family, then I can't do it. I'll have to wait when things have relaxed more. And so you would, that is all part of the readjustment that needs to be done, not just in St. Lucia, but the world over. And so the idea that you can simply say, well, I'm just here to visit family for 5 days, and then you can walk out of the airport and hop into a taxi and go to your... That's no longer feasible. That's not working anywhere in the world. It's not just about St. Lucia.
The new normal.
Oui. Did I say that right?
Oui. Okay. C'est pas qu'on a bagay qui encore qu'on dit nous ka dit à présent la kay en normal qui différent pas ça ou toujours amener la coutume fait. Là ou vini et ça nous ka dit ici et encore pour ka suivre ça qu'a fait ici jeudi samedi nous toujours ka prendre en considération ça qui fait ainsi maintenant et discuter avec ba information et ou ka savent les vini pour monde qui veut vier ou ka attendre place là ka ouvert le 4 juin c'est phase 4 là nous quand en phase ça à côté nous ka permettre avion pour entrer, il peut permettre monde pour entrer, mais spécifiquement il a dit l'Amérique. Et quand parmi question avec bagay monde ka mandé qui manière d'entrer, massa un test dans 24 pour 48 de temps. Les mois arrivé est-ce que il met quarantine, c'est qui manière ça ka travail pour qui ça y ouvert. Et encore, il ça fait un bon point. Ça pas veut dire qu'on nous dit nous ouvert, tout le monde ni pour venir. C'est où ça ou ka venir parce que la kay ni condition nous pas ça faire comme si nous pas have ça bagay kay différent et soit possible pour ça venir ou kay venir c'est bagay là qui en place là c'est conditions soit ou ça suivre ou kay suivre mais ça qui bien important ça pas veut dire ça c'est loi et quand il pas ça casser et puis tous les deux façades là nous ka dit sous ka sorte l'Amérique sous ka sorte l'Angleterre la kay ni condition Si vous avez volé, puis n'importe quel avion qui a volé, puis là, vous avez des conditions. Là où il veut cette ici, nous avons des conditions. Quand nous avons dit, les gens qui pour venir habituer avec ça qu'a fait, quand dit, Tony de bien dit, là nous avons fait 9/11 l'Amérique, tout le monde a dit, moi à présent, on passe à aller Ebglo, on passe à dans sang, on est pour tirer sous l'eau. Excellent, nous avons plus de monde volé. Quand nous avons dit, quand il commençait, quand nous avons ouvert Saint-Lycée, nous avons ces conditions, nous avons ces situations, mais c'est est-ce que vous voulez venir? Personne n'a pas forcer pour venir, mais nous avons dit, nous croyons, ça c'est un bagage qui a commencé à venir quand on l'habitude à présent.
Absolutely. I just want to respond. There are some queries as to what is being done for St. Lucian nationals at this time. We were hearing about the phased reopening of our economy and protocols for tourism accommodation services and tourists being accommodated so that we could bring in that dollar. But we are also working, the government of St. Lucia is also working on very feverishly to return St. Lucian nationals. It's what we opened the program with, letting the public know that there will be more repatriation. Scheduled for tomorrow, we're going to see 151 more St. Lucian nationals are scheduled to arrive this weekend. On May 24th, that is tomorrow, 19 nationals will arrive in St. Lucia via a chartered service from Barbados. And that includes 17 nationals who are being repatriated from Canada. And subsequently, 59 persons will arrive aboard Disney Fantasy at Port Castries, and 73 nationals will arrive on May 25th through Port Castries via the Royal Vision of the Seas. So our arrangements are being made for our St. Lucians who are abroad to return to St. Lucia, those desirous of coming back home. There are accommodations, facilities being made for them. Of course, they have to go through the quarantine and so on, but we are thinking of our nationals as well during this process. I just want to continue with this morning's program in terms of the week that was, us looking back on this week. According to the Operation Command Center's assessment schedule, this week we entered the final phase of our mitigation efforts. This fortnight, we are in the final phase of our mitigation efforts, transitioning to our recovery, that is the full resumption of our society. We saw zoning being discontinued effective May 18th. The curfew was reduced. It's now 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. and all in an effort to facilitate business throughout the length and breadth of the country. The public transportation, they can now ply their trade beyond the north and south of the island, and we can have the free flow of individuals to facilitate the reopening of our economy at this time.
And one of the things too, Jesse, I know there's been a query there about the George F.L. Charles Airport. We're not seeing that being operationalized just as yet. Again, because this is a test period for St. Lucia. It is a test period for St. Lucia. And so that now means we have more resources to be able in terms of ensuring that we have the port health protocols being implemented. So you can now just simply concentrate efforts there and make sure that it is at the standard that it ought to be. And at some point, I am certain we'll be seeing George F.L. Charles Airport reopening, but it is important for us to have this test period done for us to know what we are made of, as they say, yes?
And there will be an evaluation of it.
Certainly.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to take into consideration, where did we come from, people? At the end of the day, the question is, comment tout ça, tout municipio, tout le monde. Nous avons eu COVID, nous avons Wuhan, nous avons place fermée, nous avons cette liste fermée. Côté nous a sorti, tout le monde est caillou, moun ba bien, moun bagay, then chaque fête, curfew yo bay moun anti soulagement. So ek moun te ka babie, qui jour ka ouvert, qui jour pays a ouvert. Quand on ka information nous ka bay lek nous ka di moun c'est yon bagay qui fait ek personne pas te ka expecter. Vous comprenez, ek pas dit temps yo ka mette bagay en place, nous ka ouais côté pas ka travail, yo ka y mette différent, yo ka y travail à souille. Ça qui ka travail yo ka y chaîner, mi un bon point qu'on les a dit, en ouvert à présent moi si ouais qu'on ouvert avec nous tant place conseil qui sera ouvert, nous ka y liat ka commencer voler. Et qui ça liat ka servi kawaii blanc. Nous ka y commencer là, nous ka y qui ça qui besoin mettre en place. Quoi moi ka dit ça qui bien important c'est pas faire toute bagaille vaille avec des mains on est pour venir à présenter ça a pas travail nous pour vie fermé moi ka quoi là ni en chai chazes dat qui nous ça été fait manière nous supposé faire like nous savons nous une manière qui bon plutôt pour nous aller faire avec des mains nous attend tout le monde oh quitter mon tout qui partait point test et à présent cette ici pas des pièces am covid mais tout pas tourner covid ou ka attend monde ka dit en l'autre bagaille quand bagaille en place nous pas ka dit tout bagaille bon parce que quand nous a bien ouais ces questions avec ça moun ka dit c'est oui moi vle ouais famille moi là moi venir sous ka moi quarantine mais moi question c'est est-ce ou pas oui pour faire assurer nous pas s'immerger et ou pas oui pour dire là venir ou pas ni covid et ou d'accord pour faire ça y point pour même pas s'immerger quoi moi ka zoé pas ka hopper tête moun moi ka nous c'est les hommes avec moun ka toujours ni question et conseil mais moi ka manière nous ka approcher pour à présent c'est une manière pour faire assurer nous pas s'immerger nous pas supposé oublier point ça.
But I'm also seeing a question here pertaining to repatriation efforts, and the query is about St. Lucians apparently stranded on ships in the UK since mid-March. And we know that with the repatriation efforts, this is not solely a government of St. Lucia effort. It has to take the cruise lines themselves to initiate, get involved, because they need to play their part. They need to, as few Saturdays ago, when I shared the information that the cruise lines, the U.S. cruise lines must share the information with the CDC.
Yes.
They need to get certain protocols that they must do before the ships are even allowed to come closer to port, or whether you are now going to transport the workers from the ship onto shore. There are certain things that need to be done. So if the cruise line, Mr. Williams, that you are on, has not initiated that process, it's very difficult for any government, to now simply say, I'm coming in, taking these people. No, there is a process that has to be done. So I do hope that your employer, the cruise line, has initiated, simply began that process in order now for you to be able to make use of the facilitation that the government of St. Lucia has in order for you to come home. Yes?
Absolutely. At the top of the week, initially, we had heard that businesses would have to apply before opening. And then shortly after, we got word from the authorities that all businesses, well, especially under the SI, all businesses can operate in St. Lucia, and strict protocols have been established that we hope everybody, all the businesses that are opening, do adhere to, because we want to ensure that everywhere we go, every business we enter, we continue to be buffered, we continue to remain safe from COVID-19 as much as possible. The spraying of the hand sanitizer as you enter, the certain number of individuals within the building, the business space that you have at a time, conditions for your staff. We do hope that you are paying attention to the protocols that have been outlined, and you are continuing to put it into practice. Ensuring business has a health certificate to operate from the Department of Environmental Health. If you have any concerns as to how this should roll out within your business, you can always contact the Department of Environmental Health to find out if you're doing things the right way. If you have any queries about the protocols, you can go contact the authorities for further information. Ensure businesses have a sufficient supply of PPE. As you open your business this week, do you have enough protective equipment for your staff? Your staff handling money? Do you have hand sanitizer for your staff? Do you have perhaps masks for your staff? These things are all important to take into consideration as you reopen your business this week, going into this phase 4 that we should see beginning of June.
So Tony, you want to tell me about the salons now? What's happening with
well, most certainly.
Some of us can't live without it.
Certainly.
Well, the discussion we had, the salons, and when I went to the protocols for the salons, I'm thinking to myself, but 90% of those protocols are things that they're supposed to be doing anyway.
Exactly.
In terms of, changing of their protective wear, wearing of gloves. I mean, you walk into a barber shop, for example, and there's no sink where you could wash your hands. So again, I revert to my earlier discussion saying, whilst the responsibility is on the business places to provide some of these things, you as a consumer, if you walk into a barber shop, for example, and you realize they, finish shaving or cutting two persons' hair, and they do not do the necessary in terms of sanitizing the instruments. Most times you see some barbers use a brush and just brush out the hair. That is not good enough. So you as a consumer, you need to probably remove yourself from that place or find a barber shop or a hair salon who's following the protocols in terms of sanitizing the place. That when you walk in there, you do not see garbage that was there from the previous day, or you go in there at 5 o'clock and the garbage is there, from 6 o'clock in the morning and that sort of thing. And the barbers and the beauty salons and the spas, they've been encouraged to take appointments in the first instance.
Yeah.
Again, to practice the physical distancing. So you don't walk into a salon. We know that you ladies like to congregate at the salons. It's part of your socialization on a weekend.
You mean the weekend lately?
I guess it's the walk in there at 10 o'clock and you're happy to leave at 6 o'clock because you see all your friends and the conversation about what happened.
You mean when the barber's there and there's
the headquarters?
What? You ever been a barber shop?
I certainly have.
I mean, it's the headquarters for women on a weekend. And I could tell you because you could see Tony, and I've been privileged to be, and it's amazing. But I think the point remains, though. At the end of the day, while we speak of protocols and what should be done, self-policing and self-responsibility. Because again, we are saying, look, you walk into a place and no one has even sanitized your hands. What do? You walked into a place and you notice, there's no mask, or even the gowns that is supposed to be worn, there's no gowns. I mean, what do? Do you
take
just
your
say
business elsewhere?
Or, I mean, I would say before doing that, you would say, hey, kindly, or find somewhere to say, I believe you should be following protocols. And if you don't know X, Y, Z, you understand? Because appointments, we have about waiting in your vehicle and whatnot. So I think it falls on good air and good reasoning that, listen, self-policing, which is what we should be pushing.
But I was also happy to know that there is an association who's helping if there's certification and giving them guidance or what have you.
Good.
So that's
they must
a good
display
thing.
the certificate.
They must display their certificate.
So when you are going out, look for that certificate.
Yes.
Just like the VAT certificate, because when VAT initially came in, everyone had to display that certificate. And of course, if the individual is charging you VAT and there's no certificate visible, then what you do is say, no, you can't charge me VAT. So where's the certificate? So that's the approach we need to take.
Because again, the discussion about wearing of the mask, and we discussed the fact that, even before COVID, you're in person's hair every day, all during the day, and you have particles. The right thing to do to protect yourself is to have a mask on. You have the nail technicians. You're inhaling all of those fumes, all of those chemicals all throughout the day. I mean, you see persons on the outside, or when you go to some of the more developed countries and they have those protective gear on them. So these things need to become habit in St. Lucia. Earlier on we were discussing about the construction sector. Again, you have all that cement that you're working on. And this is not only about COVID, this is about your own protection. This is about you and making sure that, your health, you take care of yourself.
Go ahead, Lisa.
No, I was just saying good morning and thank you so much to Dawn Marie. And she's always on with us over in New York. And she gave a bit of an update here saying that in New York, there's a major decline right now, COVID cases. And they've been following the protocols of wearing of the mask, the social distancing, as well as some of the other things. And so adhering to the protocols, it's really the more simple form of protection that we have, and that protection definitely will show up in the number of cases of COVID-19. So that's important there.
It's definitely effective, There have been several studies that show if you just take these simple measures, use of a mask, frequent hand washing, it will significantly reduce the risk. I think COVID-19, all of the measures that we're putting in place will just bring out, all of the best practices that we've been preaching for several years. We're seeing it coming in. Sometimes it lapses. The consistency in the various sectors. We will finally see, you know, what we've been begging for, calling for. We're seeing it happening in incremental phases, but it stops and then it happens again. We'll be seeing best practices emerge from all of the sectors going forward.
Well, one of the things as well, Jesse, as you mentioned, that came to mind, that as June 1st is fast approaching, we know that's the hurricane season, and that rainy season, it also means that the threat of dengue is upon us. The threat of chikungunya hasn't gone anywhere, it's upon us, as well as Zika. Remember that? So remember when we had the chikungunya, and because we hadn't had it in this region, that we had no immunity. And so we had an escalation in the cases while, you know, the population became immune to that. The same thing with Zika. So we are still facing other threats alongside COVID-19. So it is important for us as the rainy season, begin to check around your homes, make sure that you don't have any receptacles, you know, you have some tires there that's going to collect water, and no breeding spots for the mosquitoes. And that's a very, very important thing.
Again, the personal and the collective responsibility of us as citizens.
Moi, quoi, est bien important, pas de temps où écouter nous, jeudi à dimanche, excusez-moi, samedi, moi, havli, si maintenant, oui, quoi. Et puis, discussion, c'est qui ça ou ça fait, qui ça on y pour faire. Responsabilité à où ni pour point, personnellement, nous avons dit, l'est venu pour où qu'il doit là, l'est venu pour Covid, et que ça ou supposé faire, nous avons une place business qu'a ouvert, et que nous avons bagay là, nous avons dit, est-ce qu'elle a un dans place, ou qu'il y a un requirement là, est-ce qu'il y a un moun qui a coupé cheveux là, est-ce même à nettoyer ciseaux, est-ce à nettoyer machine, est-ce à prendre sanitizer puis nettoyer toutes ces choses comme ça. Est-ce moun ka combler son truc ou pas mêler et que mi Jesse là, Lisa là, Tony là, tout monde en acide, personne pas ni masse et ou même join nous vinn acide tout. Nous ka dit responsabilité ça c'est à sous. Et raison pour ça c'est changer qui ça intention est. Intention c'est pour pas si mais pas si manger pour nous ni moins monde pour nous ni personne et puis pour nous tenir ni manière hier pour date nous pas ni personne qui est affecté à présent. Toutes ces gens nous ont couvert quoi et c'est un bagage nous a plaidé nous a dit discussion qu'a laissé qui ça où ça fait commencer puis quoi massou et puis nous teni sur yon ce programme nous teni Mazer Ngozi et qu'à avec bureau département santé yon ce bagage là il dit les où qu'a fait ça changer là on mettait un masque ou mettez masque là pour empêcher quoi chat et ben pour affecter un monde quand alors on y masque là pour protéger corps avec yon monde. Les yon moun ni masque là aussi, il ka protecter corps, si estienne, si toussé, il ni masque là. Nous pas ka di masque là ka dou bout li, mais là l'autre bagay, là laver la main qui mouche nous manière pour laver la main nous. Là ni l'autre bagay là wete kay sou pas ni pièce côté pour aller. Là l'autre bagay là chaîne distance là, et qui manière ka savent sur distance, ouvert bois avec di un moun ni pour wete. Oui. Ouais, ouvert, I mean, avec ça nous a dit à toutes ces bagailles ça mettez ensemble et qu'on nous bien dit à bon matin, ces bagailles qui étaient là, ces bagailles nous apprendre nous lever messe, yo do supposé laver la main, ou supposé souiller quitter souiller au dehors, bagaille qui simple comment had l'on sort en travail en ville et puis ou supposé tirer had ça mettez dans had ça les dans panier ban côté pas coucher les couchou et puis même had là quand ces bagaille là là c'est un bon messe nous ka vier mettre en pratique et nous ka ça nous ka essayer faire c'est faire moun savent c'est pas parce que nous pas une personne qui peut mort. C'est pas parce que nous attendons à présent 100% nous ni tout le monde qui a recouvert date qui Covid par là. Quand nous avons ouvert chance là c'est un monde peut mener en tout quoi si nous fait ça nous supposé faire tout le monde prend responsabilité moi ka quoi nous les chimères qui ka mener nous combattre.
We have a question here about the mask for buses and it would be advisable please wear the mask including the bus driver. I know that it may be difficult. I know the Ministry of Health has advised that no AC in the bus, so all windows should be open. I
wonder how that's going to work out when the rain starts.
When the rain starts, yes, I think that, well, oh dear, we don't.
I mean, again, the situation is fluid.
Yeah. Yes, I mean? It's fluid. But certainly if you, please, wear the mask. And that's very important because you enter in the bus with strangers. So you need to... because, you know, the people at home, you're familiar with them, you know that we spent a week at home, we didn't have anything, but wear the mask because you're out in public. The bus is a public space.
And you mentioned when the rain starts, and we're
That
in
is
for
it.
a busy hurricane season.
Busy
Yesterday we
hurricane
had
season.
on the Met Office as well as NEMO. The hurricane season, of course, starts June 1st officially, but already we've seen the formation of a name.
Tropical storms,
you know,
yes.
yes. So we have to be prepared. I know we'll be discussing the drought. On the one hand, we're in the middle of a water crisis, but then we also have to prepare for the hurricane season. And in the discussion yesterday, we've been informed that there's 60% chance of an above normal hurricane season. 13 to 19 named storms are expected, and 6 to 10 of those are expected to become hurricanes. But we know the reality. It only takes one. You know, it only takes one. So again, we're asking folks to be prepared. We were discussing yesterday again when it was announced that we're going to be under 24-hour curfew. Some folks were crying foul that they were unprepared, that they were not told. But we saw from since January what was happening in other jurisdictions with the onset of COVID, and persons started to shut down their borders. We saw the stay-at-home advisories. So from since then, our first case was when? March 13th, I think it was? Yes, March 13th, Black Friday, we can't forget that. And then we saw the signs, all the signs were there.
But even before that, we saw the phased closure. We stopped serving certain countries, bringing them into our borders. So it has been happening, you know.
So we're saying with the advent of the hurricane season, as we speak now, do not wait when the Met Office say there's a storm approaching that you rush out and begin the panic buying, and then you see in the long queues at the supermarkets. How are you going to practice physical distancing if you have 500 persons outside of the supermarkets, and even when the supermarkets are limiting the number of persons that they allow inside? So we're asking folks, do not wait for the last moment. Do not wait when a system is approaching. Begin stocking up on your essential items as we speak, and preparing in terms of your storage of water and what have you. Yes.
Someone wanted to know about masks. I know that you did speak with some of our very skillful designers. So online, 700 Solutions Overseas want to know if they can purchase masks online. Do you know?
Yes. I do not have the information in front of me here, but we could probably, during the week, I could put out some of that information where folks could actually order those masks online. So some folks are doing their e-commerce. We've been talking a lot about our young entrepreneurs getting involved in e-commerce. So a number of our entrepreneurs have some of those masks available for purchase online.
Oh, yeah.
So again, it will...
and I think we could, was it Perry?
Perry Mask?
Perry, yeah, have some, and we have a number for him actually, Lisa, 720-7479. That could be a number of contact. He's into and he had a sample. He actually gave us a sample.
Yeah.
And they're very, very, very creative, very nice. So I don't know, offhand, I'm just saying as it came up, as it relates, I mean, somebody probably could make the contact there. For that number again is 720-7479. So, you know.
I know that the question keeps coming up a lot regarding the quarantine, St. Lucians who just simply want to go home, visit their family, and so forth. I know that in the initial phases, we were being told that once you have a dwelling, a house where you can safely quarantine, so that means you're not going to share a bathroom with anyone else in the household and that sort of thing, that you had individual space, that was being allowed. Don't quote me on this, but I'm saying because the situation is so fluid, we were told this very early on. That is information that we would have again during the course of this week, where we can go back and probably ask some of the officials to come in and be more specific. Now that we are opening up the borders, to be more specific about some of the quarantine protocols.
Okay. I just want to get into, just coming off of the hurricane season right now, the very opposite of heavy rains. We are experiencing the drought conditions, and Carlton and I spoke to the director for the Water Resource Management Agency, and he spoke on SI number 75, the water and sewage water related emergency declaration order. going through the prohibitions at this time, and they're obvious. We know that during the drought conditions, we ought to conserve water as much as possible. If we can, rainwater harvesting. He also spoke to, he addressed, I know we spoke last week about the brick making, you know, the construction sector having to be on and running. He did address it and stated that rainwater harvesting is an option in our economy right now if you want to, you know, make bricks and, you know, in cases of the agricultural sector not being able to use water for non-potable purposes. He did state that the farmers can abstract raw water downstream of any water and sewage.
Upstream.
Downstream.
Yeah, not upstream,
not
but
upstream.
downstream.
Yes, downstream
Yes.
of the water and sewage company infrastructure. So there are ways that we can continue to, you know, facilitate our economy, the farming sector, the construction sector, without having to go in on the potable water coming from our taps. We just have a quick clip from the director speaking on the decision to go into this water-related emergency.
In a nutshell, it means that persons should be going into conservation mode. It's not only WASCO managing the water system or the supplies that they have, but persons actually monitoring and managing the supplies that they receive, because things are, well, it's not business as usual. So the prohibitions speak mainly to persons using potable water for non-potable uses. So in what it says is that, you know, where you used to water your lawns, or, you know, use your hose to wash your vehicle, even for significant agricultural activity, that person should cease and desist from doing that until, you know, there is, well, the level of rainfall has increased. WASCO is now moving back into a normal mode of operations. So it's a matter of conservation. So right now it's more or less water for the population. So a lot of activities, or a lot of complementary activities that depend on water from WASCO, that person should cut down on those activities.
That way they're coming from the director of the Water Resources Management Agency. We're due for a break now. When we come back, we will be opening the lines, looking at the week that was. We've just gone through all of the developments of the week. We saw the economy reopening here in St. Lucia. We want to get your thoughts. We want to get your questions. The number to call is 468-2162. When we come back, we open the lines.
With all that's happening around us, simple adjustments are necessary to keep us all safe. When calling 911, we may need a little more information to deploy the right personnel and protocols. You may be asked about your travel history, signs and symptoms, contact and movement history, and whether others in your household are exhibiting similar symptoms. Please be patient and cooperative during this time to ensure you receive the best possible care while keeping our first responders safe.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. This is the COVID-19 response report, the week in review. We're looking at all of the events, the developments, starting off from this Monday, the last Monday, and culminating with yesterday, Friday. We are now opening the lines. We've gone through much of the week's developments. We now want to open the lines to get your views on the developments, to get your questions. The number you can call is 468-2162. So we're taking calls at this point in time. Lisa, if we could just go back to the education. I believe we had the principal of the Castries Comprehensive Secondary School speaking in a report from Glenn Simon.
So, yes, that report really spoke on how the education system has adapted to that whole e-learning process, and certainly how St. Lucia has been looking at the idea of technology and how the technology is now part of the new normal, if you will. So if we go to that report from Glenn Simon, and then we can have some discussion on it.
As the country moves through the various phases of reopening its economy.
Desolate. Definition: a place deserted of people and in a state of bleak and dismal emptiness. The spirited, rambunctious sounds of children replaced by the quiet chirping of birds at midday on what should have been a regular school day. The Castries Comprehensive Secondary School, CCSS, like many other schools on island, the region and the wider world, is living out this new normal of virtual learning. But how are teachers and students coping? Principal at CCSS, Marva Daniel, explains.
It has been a challenge, but an exciting one. In every crisis, there's opportunity. For me, and of course, every principal knows what works best for them. We have embraced Moodle as our learning platform, and we have ensured that our students access the school's email account.
She said 90% of CCSS students were able to connect online from the commencement of the school term, but 10% have not connected virtually, and so the school has been tasked with reaching them.
We have not of course, been able to access every single student, and there are various reasons why. And it's not necessarily technology, lack of devices, internet access, and so on. There are some students who are just plain blank, not interested. They have to be, coerced. They have to be, pushed more. And so the support of parents in this, situation or throughout this journey has been pivotal. They play a very vital role in ensuring that students remain excited, remain educated, and remain focused.
CCSS parents Gloria Dorius and Cipriana George endorsed the e-learning measures taken by the Ministry of Education and the school.
I'd like to thank the teachers of the Castries Comprehensive Secondary School who went above and beyond the call of duty to ensure that our children transition to homeschooling.
It's been challenging being housebound with not one, but two very opinionated teenagers. But we've always believed in this household that it is better safe than sorry, so we're staying indoors, spending time with each other, and ensuring that we practice social distancing when we do venture out, so as to ensure we minimize the spread of this disease.
The principal stressed that greater family and community support is needed to allow more students to join the e-learning platforms.
Essentially, it is important for persons to appreciate what we have now and stop the complaining and whatever, but see how we can make it better. As I said to parents, you may have a phone, your child may not have one. Allow the students to use your phone. It's just for a little while. Your relatives may have the devices that they need. Let us share with one another so everybody can get access.
Daniel said, this COVID-19 situation has caused unexpected productivity gains and a positive residual benefit for both teachers and students via the e-learning platforms.
So teachers are now upgraded, they're upskilled, and they are now able to use so many different platforms. And so our students are now a digital student. We're not just a CCSS student. We have revolutionized teaching and learning, and our students, based on what they have been saying, are loving it.
And as the corridors and lunch tables of every educational institution, like CCSS, beckon for renewed activity, COVID-19 has ushered in a new realization, that of e-learning. For the National Competitiveness and Productivity Council, Glenn Simon reporting.
Thank you so much, Glenn, there with that report. And we were able to see there that at least one school, the story of one school being able to make that transition. And for it shouldn't really be a sort of a big hurdle to cross over, because the truth is that our schools have been integrating technology within the whole teaching system for over a decade, 20 years now. We've had a slow progress. And as we as a region developed with the technology that became available to us, because we know we're not on par with the rest of the world when it comes to that. So we always maybe a few steps behind. Yes, but as we're now being able to integrate more and more of that technology that is available to us, our schools have adapted. And it may not be at the level to the satisfaction of everyone, but the truth is that our schools have been preparing for a day like today for a long time now. And it's good to see that, at least from the Castries Comprehensive story, that they have been able to have that smooth transition into the e-learning platform fully.
D'accord, ouais, nous avons discuté à son samedi, tout ça qui fait en semaine, information nous avons là, sous sujet, elle est venue pour maman l'école, ou la principale, elle est venue pour l'école comprehensive, l'école secondaire, ça, et manière, il dit, en chai moun, j'ai venu à travailler, même à contacter en chai, moun, elle est venue pour faire internet, et puis maman, il a fait l'école online, ça c'est qu'à servir computer, qu'à ouïter caillou. Mais d'où la style ni mamay là ni mamay toujours qui yo poko joindre et que parmi bagay di qui fait là ni ça qui parmi les là ça on ni point les do yo pour faire assurer mais yon a ces bagay là qui bien clair qu'on li santé ka dia la te hani en chay fondation avec travail qui te a fait les vini pour link ça et nous ni pour d'accord puis yon bagay aussi yon manière ban l'autre covid ban nous anti pour ça pour ay devant pousser nous mais yon manière ban dans l'autre la terre et toute bagay les vini pour technologie à présent c'est ça toute bagay c'est un phone, une tablette et puis un computer, laptop, c'est ça y est. Quand nous avons parmi l'autre l'école, parmi l'école là nous avons l'école comprehensive là, l'école secondaire ça après dommage ça. Nous avons ouvert ligne là, messieurs dames, ou puis nous encore sur une question, sur une pièce conseil, encore l'IMO ça c'est 4 6 8 D 6 D, ou puis nous ici et puis nous allons répondre qu'on nous paie. Nous avons visité ici maintenant qui passe et tout ça qui fait une nouvelle.
I want to share just, I know a lot of people have the qualms about wearing the mask for the entire day or when you're walking around town, and let's say it's uncomfortable for some people. Breathing is very difficult for you to breathe when we have the mask on. What I do, and my family members, I've passed that on to them as well, and I could share that just to help with better breathing. Use some of the Vicks, ventilated
vapor rub.
There you go. And so either you put that around the nose before you put the mask on, or what I do, I apply directly on the mask where I know to make contact with my nose, and that really opens up that air passage to give so throughout the day I don't find myself having to gasp so much for air because you're moving around. So that is something that is safe, but you don't put in a whole, fistful of it there, because when you're using the vapor, it's just a touch, just a little bit, and it helps. It really does help.
Okay, Eureka.
Yeah,
that's a little YouTube hack there.
Thanks for that. On a turn. It was with great sadness this week that the nation received the news of the passing of a cultural icon, Denise Joyce Ogist. Miss Ogist's contribution to chorale and folk music has been immeasurable, and she was instrumental in the recording and the preservation of our indigenous music. And for the older individuals,
why did you look my way, Jason?
Yeah, I didn't look too funny.
It wasn't intentional.
I didn't mean to.
For those heavily involved in the culture.
That sounds better.
For those seasoned in all things cultural, they would have definitely known who this lady was. And, she has been decorated, with awards and recognition. And I was mentioning to Carlton that, it felt good, hearing of her passing was sad, but it felt good that her flowers were given to her while she was alive, and I think that's something we need to always take note of, to celebrate the individuals who have made a meaningful impact towards nation building, nation development while they are alive. And I'm glad, at least on my end, that, you know, we got a chance to do that for her. We have a news report just looking at the life and work of Joyce Auguste. If we could just go to that report to give our viewers a greater understanding of this very magnificent individual.
Tributes have begun pouring in for Joyce Auguste, local music icon, eminent folklorist, and one of the pioneers in production and recording of St. Lucia folk music. Miss Auguste's contribution to chorale and folk music has been immeasurable, and she was instrumental in the recording and preservation of indigenous music. Miss Auguste is best known for her research and promotion of the music of St. Lucian folklorists, including Cecende Scott, Eric Adley, and Florita Marquis. In addition to her many music compilations, she published St. Lucia Sings, a book of St. Lucian folk songs in 1984, and Oral and Folk Traditions of St. Lucia in 1986. During her many years as a music education specialist with the government of St. Lucia, she coordinated numerous research and training programs on local culture and folklore. In the 1970s and 1980s, she led the popular folk band Uranora Voices, which were instrumental in the resurgence of folk music. Miss Auguste's talents went way beyond singing, and she was also well known for her sporting prowess in the netball arena. In 1969, she received the award for Sportswoman of the Year and represented St. Lucia regionally and internationally in the sporting discipline. In April 2000, she was named in the OAS list of outstanding women of the 20th century and was inducted into the Hall of Fame for both sports and music. The Minister with responsibility for culture and creative industries, Senator Honorable Fortuna Bell Rose, expressed her appreciation for the work done by the late Joyce Auguste.
Joyce, of course, has been an icon in St. Lucia and St. Lucian culture, and people like me, one of her students really, from the era when we did music, you know, in schools, across the primary schools in St. Lucia in 1973, 74 thereabout. And of course, for me too, Joyce was an outstanding person. She was an outstanding St. Lucian sportswoman. She was our first sportswoman of the year in St. Lucia in 1968, 69 thereabout. And of course, you know, as a country, we owe it to her, you know, to celebrate her life. You know, she deserved a lot. She worked a lot from from the north and south, the length and breadth of this country. She gave service to our country, and so we have to acknowledge and respect, you know, the contribution that she has made. And I'm happy that, of course, our country did that. She's been awarded time and time again for her efforts, and we can only continue to show appreciation for people like Joyce.
In between music and sports, Miss Auguste also served as a Justice of Peace and coordinator of various national activities. In 1978, she received the singular honor of having her photograph on the 10-cent stamp of St. Lucia. She is noted as the pioneer of the Festival of Carols, and in 2017 she was awarded Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, OBE. Denise Joyce Auguste's achievements will continue to inspire many in sports and music throughout St. Lucia. From the Government Information Service, I am Anicia Antoine reporting.
Our sympathies go out to the family of the late Joyce Auguste, and prayers, of course, going out to friends, all those who loved her, who are just taken aback by this passing. So once again, sympathies going out to the family. I also heard that she was a broadcaster.
Yes,
you know, doing the children's program on RSL.
Right, and since Jessie mentioned that I'm the older one here, rightfully so.
I didn't say that.
My recollection as a proud student of the Canon Laurie Anglican School was Joyce Auguste used to do the radio music broadcast to schools. That was channeled through Radio St. Lucia, and we had those speakers on the walls at the school. And at a particular time, you'd pay attention and you'd learn, you know, the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and some of the national songs or what have you. And I fondly recall those moments, yes. So that was my formidable introduction to music in St. Lucia, yeah.
Parmi bagay qui fait nouvelle semaine ça ou kay savent les vini pour nous dans état de secours et puis date qui moun pas supposé servir l'eau ça c'est en rose pour laver machine nous servir l'eau gaspiller l'eau nous mener ça pour attention et puis là quand nous venir dans bout là l'autre bagay là nous ka discuter à présent c'est les vini pour manger Denise Joyce Auguste ou kay savent c'est yon qui était involvé les vini en musique qui ni pour faire cette lycée les vini pour ka étudier maman qu'on nous déca bien dire moun Tony qui pas tellement vieux connaître lui et puis c'était un étudiant et maman l'école il dit qu'a changé les mademoiselle Joyce parmi capté autant la sénateur honorable Fortuna Bellers qui a dit aussi trouvé quoi mademoiselle Joyce aussi l'école il changé c'est yon a ces moun qui de l'école qui y étudie en bail et nous ka dit nous perd un pilote oui et yon a ces bail là si maintenant Jesse dit qui bien important c'est ici parmi ces moun où ça dit qui hen ça ka vini à lire quand grand maman moi défunt grand maman moi te ka dit il hen un chay flay avant il mort en parmi nous ka ouais fidja il portrait dans l'est postal là yo organisé en l'année 1969 qu'on est venu pour sport l'équité femme sport pour l'année ça juste là venu pour organisation la OES yo organisé qu'on y a ces femmes là venu pour temps l'année 20 l'année ça dans 20 l'année ça y a ces femmes qui debout bien debout pour la peine parmi l'autre organisation IJAHEN et trouvé qu'on organisé par l'Angleterre toutes ces organisations ces contributions il bien bon tout ça nous a dit date qui il trouvé quoi organiser pour travailler parce que nous bien ça va pile les nous organiser un monde il mort avec moun ça pas jamais ouais travailler après c'est although moi ni pour dire là vini pour situation chay c'est moun qui ka faire ça ou ka ouais moun qui vraiment aimer ça yo ka faire quoi yo pas ka espérer pour moun organiser yo mais yo ka prendre satisfaction ça yo ka faire et puis nous ici à travailler management ici et puis là vini pour peuple simple ici nous ka sympathie puis famille avec Jean là vini pour mademoiselle Joyce Auguste qui très passé nous tant nouvelle
I think on that note, we wrap up and we end. Having gotten no calls so far, we'd like to thank you all for viewing. This is where our time is up. And this is where we say goodbye to you. On behalf of the entire production team, Tony, Carlton, Alyssa, and myself, Jesse, we'd like to wish you a wonderful weekend. And we'll see you at the top of the week on Monday morning. Goodbye.